Frank, looking back at those scenes there, I can remember it like it was just yesterday. Absolutely sends a shiver down the spine. Take me back to when you knew things were going to be taking a turn for the worse.
Early in the morning, an intersection, because we live in a dead-end street, an intersection just up the road was flooded. We managed to get a couple of four-wheel drives in, got photographs and animals out, and after that we had no hope of getting out apart from walking. And at about 2:30 that afternoon we decided to evacuate ourselves.
And Frank, how did things then play out from there?
30 feet of water apparently went over my home. The whole street was completely inundated. Nothing was visible. 4 days later, after the closest we could get in those 4 days was about 400 metres away, and there was nothing that we could do until the water receded. And when it did, we got back, and it was very disastrous. Not a very good sight to see. You know, the photographs still haunt me, but we then had to start the clean-up, and that took some considerable time.
Frank, 10 years on, how do you move on from something like that?
Well, we have moved on to a certain extent. I still live in the same home, but financially we still struggle because it cost us a lot of money. Insurance didn't pay. It cost a lot of money to rebuild, but we've waited 8 years for this class action, and we look like we're going to have to wait at least another 18 months because the appeal is not until May the 21st this year. And if SEQ Water and SunWater lose that appeal, they can take that then appeal to the High Court, and then we have not even put in a itemised claim yet, which is, you know, absolutely ridiculous after 10 years. But the thing I'd like to say is SunWater and SEQ Water, they can afford to hire the best lawyers because any money they spend on their lawyers, they can get back by increasing the charges for water that we all have to pay. Whereas our class action costs are being covered at the present moment by a litigation funder, and we will lose 30% of any compensation we get to recompensate the litigation funder.
Frank, this class action, obviously, as you said, has been dragging on for some almost 8 years now. If you'd known that it would still be going on now, and even once the court has ruled in your favour that it could still be appealed and keep going on for some time, would you have begun it?
Yes, certainly, because the Campbell Newman inquiry actually found that the dam operators were not following the manual, and that was swept under the carpet. But they were found guilty in November 2019, but they still are not. They're not looking after the little people that got really, really damaged by their incompetence.
Frank, when you look back on these floods, how do you remember them?
Oh, disastrous. It cost a lot of people family breakages. 2 of my children wouldn't even come back to the home because they just couldn't stand the thought of what they lost, and my wife had a breakdown. Other people that I know had breakdowns. I mean, we're still living it every day because there's parts of your house, there's parts of your yard that remind you every day that, you know, we lost absolutely everything that we ever owned in that flood.
Frank, I have to say I was a bit surprised that you are still living in the same spot. Some people would say, why, how would you be able to stay there with that reminder? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not giving my home away because the value of my home dropped dramatically after completely rebuilding the interior, including electrical wiring, everything. I had a bank come out and do an estimate on the value of the home, and they reckoned my home was worth about 55% of what it was prior to the floods. So I'm not giving my home away, and, you know, it's just we have to live with it.
Frank, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us this afternoon on Summer Agenda.
Thank you very much for putting me on.